Morning. Good morning. Toph, Carrot, Falco, Harry, Riley, Blushling, Carbine. Haven't seen you in a while. You, me, and Frosh still have well, I guess it's hard to do Sindow now, but Toph, how did you change you were pink a while ago, now you're green. How did you just do that? Hi, Sue. Nami. VIP, you always were a VIP. How did your name change colors? On the fly. What's up, Fern? Welcome back. Hello, Chara. Valorok. Mr. Rookie. Sunoki will come back. It'll come back in Splatoon 3. I don't say that like I have inside knowledge, but I think it was kind of obvious that the Splatoon 2 Sindow Q was just a test run to see how everything works. You saw adjustments being made to it every single day. I have not. No, I got pinged in resilience a while ago. I forget why. Oh, because somebody said something, some quote about me. Something about licking my head or something like that, I assume. All right, finished writing this. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or to VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify. While you are remembering how to turn airplane mode off so that you can go back to playing the lag fest known as solo queue, relearning about that Twitter friends circle thing, like we didn't just do that 5 months ago. Messing up so that you have to go back to the lab again. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. Happy Mother's Day. Day after Mother's Day. For those of you who, well, I guess everybody technically has a mom, but I hope you guys, if your mom's still around, I hope you still communicated to your mom in some extent. I called my mom yesterday. I told my mom that I got 5th place at a video game tournament. She was genuinely excited for me. 31 years old, and I'm still talking to my mom about video games. But hey, it's nice to have supportive parents. It's easier for them to be supportive of you when you're off on your own. You have your own house and a wife, and you're like, all right, you're already doing good. As I know some people don't exactly have supportive parents about competitive video gaming, but I guess it's just kind of stage of life that you're in. It was kind of cool. Grand finals of Low Tide City, even though it was just a giant curb stop, you did see a lot of dads in the crowd. A lot of parents that were in the crowd because they had to be there because their they're like they have to chaperone their kids anyways because they're under 18. But like during the course of the event, the parents weren't really paying attention to anything going on, and I think they might have just dumped some people and just like went off to do whatever. But during grand finals, it was cool seeing parents just watching, and they don't know what the heck's going on, but they're at least interested in what their children are doing up on that stage. So it was that was cool to see, just parents witnessing this community run in its not so cringe stages, which is nice to happen at LANs, even though if you pay attention to Twitter at all, you'll be like, wow, this community is really cringe, which it is sometimes. News of some tournaments that are coming up that may be of interest to the casual listener of the podcast and slightly relevant to the topics of today. This upcoming weekend is Minnow Cup, run by MIT, the Mulloway Institute of Turfing. This is a skill cap tournament, as we all know and love, and is one of the few skill cap tournaments that's actually good. So sign up for this one. I don't know what the mode is. If I had just had to take a random guess, I'm going to go with Clan Blitz. I'm being totally wrong there. I didn't totally look into that like I did last week. The weekend after that, the weekend after this upcoming one is Low Inc. That is the entirety weekend. What is that, the 21st and the 22nd? Correct. Now, going on the 21st is also the Nintendo Turf War Tournament. If you are I've said this last time, I want Nintendo to run their tournaments against Low Inc. During Low Inc. I don't want them running their tournaments during a Little Squid League or a Minnow Cup or something like that. Low Inc. is not going to be hurt at all by Nintendo running their event. We couldn't care less. I'm happy for it. If you want to sign up, if you want to skip Low Inc. and sign up for Nintendo, that's totally fine. We'll be back next month. Nintendo won't, so we're fine with that. It's pick whatever tournament you want to play in. We'll be just fine. The weekend after that, so the last weekend of the month, is the Little Squid League 2-day major, I guess you could say, low level here. The 28th and the 29th, $500 prize for that. Are people going to smurf into this event? Yes. Are people going to get away with it? No, absolutely not. It's not just the thing where, or at least I'm assuming that when this tournament ends, it's not going to be an immediate, hey, here's $500. Usually when there's any prize pool related with an IPL event, we take a full day just to make sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted kind of thing. So if there's somebody weird that we've never heard of that wins Little Squid League and they're smurfing, they're going to get caught. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Is it going to happen? Yes. Are people going to get away with it? No. And Splat Safety does have a rule about smurfing. I don't know what the punishment for it is, but I would like to see somebody attempt it and get punished for it, just so we can figure out how long it's going to be. If you are not eligible, now here's another reason not to smurf into Little Squid League. There's a major going on literally the same weekend, 20XX, being streamed by Dapple Productions, a $400 prize pool starting off for that. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in the segments to come. Today, we're going to be talking about the current state of the community and how it is insanely unbalanced and what we can do to fix it. This is going to be a shorter episode of the Popcast. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I don't think I'm going to make it the full hour. Honestly did not. I don't want to force episodes of the. I've been doing it pretty consistently every single week, but if there's nothing really going on and there's nothing really talk about, I don't want to create topics, I don't want to be like the Keemstar of the competitive Splatoon scene. I don't want to just pull things out of my butt to get people fired up for no reason. If there's something I think's worth talking about, we'll talk about it. If there's a tournament going on, we'll talk about the tournament, but I don't want to just make up things. So instead, there was something I wanted to talk about a couple of weeks ago, or last week. I just didn't have time to it, so we'll get to that today. And when I'm done talking about it, we'll end the stream right there. So we'll see how it goes. But first, since we are going to have one talking point today, let's go ahead and start things off by knocking out the weekly recap. Since there weren't a lot of tournaments going on, this one might not be crazy long either. Paddling Pool 161. I don't always talk about Paddling Pool, but every time I look at it, it's always a what the heck is going on here. The teams that finished in the top 3 here. Vasto Lord finished in first. Second place was Notebook, and third place was Medi 2700. I believe these are all pickup teams, and if you look at the tweet Dappled Productions put out, which is looking more hilarious every time they put it out, they'll put out like the logo of the team and just like the podium of like, here's who finished the results for Paddling Pool. But every logo they put out is always a question mark. So they just put like 3 question marks up on a podium with a name that means nothing to anybody, and they don't have enough room to put down like who actually played on the pickups other than the first team. So it's yeah, Paddling Pool, the pickup tournament going on there. Hey, maybe that's just the me thing. Maybe I just don't pay enough attention to Europe. But Paddling Pool, 161 editions of that tournament. Do they take any weeks off? I don't think they do. Do they even take Christmas week off? There's no chill for those guys. Just keep going. SOS number 67 took place on Wednesday after Paddling Pool. The team that won this one, Grace Won't Let Me Have Good Names. Okay. The team that finished in second place, Any Askers, with a question mark at the end. Bless their heart. If only Rising Wave or Campfire had beaten one of those 2 teams, I could have had something to say about 2 teams that everyone actually knows and not just some random pickup. Rising Wave and Campfire played in the third place match. I think Rising Wave won that one. Hammerhead was won by Happy Children's Day. Is there such a thing as Children's Day? I bet there is. But if I don't get a paid holiday off for it, it doesn't count. Mako Bracket was won by Woomies of the West. And Lantern Bracket was won by Aggressive Worms. Stop the music. We're done. Guys, come on. Did any of these names I just listed out from both of these tournaments mean anything to anyone? Woomies of the West, Happy Children's Day, Any Askers, Medi 2700, Aggressive Worms. I could have just you for all you know, I could have just made all those up right now. They sound like the things people just made off the top of their heads, right? Like, what is the point? I understand pickups and all this stuff, but if we could just come up with pickup names that are somewhat consistent and somewhat kind of like allude to who you are, like, come on, these are the same kind of friend groups playing with each other, right? Just come up with a name for your group that's consistent. Ugh. Today's episode of the Weekly Recap, sponsored by Pufferfish Party, the team that finished second place in Lantern Bracket and is an actual name team that we all know. Congratulations, Pufferfish Party. You are the official sponsor of today's episode of the Weekly Recap. Dang. Woomies of the West. Yes, if you want me to pay attention to an actual message in chat, leave a highlighted message and I will acknowledge it. I understand people watching this on Battlefy have you can't see the highlighted messages in chat, so you just got to assume that I'm actually reading highlighted stuff. Reminds me of the 2 teams last Minnow Cup. They had just jumbles of letters of their names. Yeah, it was yeah and yeah. And I think we found out Yo was better than Yeah or something like that. And then the team that just hit their head on the keyboard and said, yeah, we'll roll with that. This is I'm telling y'all, low ink teams. You're going to start seeing some teams in low ink called the orange iguanas and the silver snakes. in the what is it? The blue barracudas. Yeah, we're gonna fix this scene. I can't read that, Stitch. I appreciate the fox though. For people watching on Battlefy, did I ask what I said? All right, people watching on YouTube. We're not streaming live on Battlefy yet. Although that would be a nice feature considering... Actually, I think there are links you can put in Battlefy directly to like your Twitch link, something like that. But now for the actual topic of the day. Angie Pop Gun. So, the first day of Low Tide City. Thursday, which... kind of made the point of like, why are we here on Thursday when nothing really happens till Saturday? I think it's because Friday, something actually happened on Friday at Riptide. Anyway, so we're there on Thursday. I'm sitting in that massive lounge area, just chilling in some couches stuff. And, just waiting for some teammates to show up. And I made this critical mistake of opening my phone and looking at Twitter. Massive mistake. You would think somebody my age would know not to look at Twitter at any point, especially when I'm on vacation, but so be it. Here we are. So what's going on Twitter on 2 Thursdays ago? Right? Two Thursdays ago? Yes. On April the 28th. What's the topic of discussion that everybody is talking about here? Turns out somebody else is trying to run yet again, despite multiple warnings from both JPEG when JPEG hosted the April 1st episode of the podcast and myself, a new low-level tournament had popped up yet again. Now, it wasn't just that. There was like 3 other low-level tournaments that we saw. JPEG and I were sitting right next to each other at the time, and JPEG pulled up his phone. He's like, no, like, dude, it gets even worse. Like, look at this tournament. This tournament keeps popping up all this time, and then there's this other one right here. It's like, yeah, there are tons of low-level tournaments popping up. Like, you just hear about some of them, but there's even more low-level tournaments you've never heard about that are still popping up on Battlefy, and it is it's kind of frustrating. It is frustrating to see stuff like that. And you saw some crazy tweets going on Twitter about that. People going after low level, people defending low. Why are people coming after low level? In this another one of these class warfare things that we got going on here. The craziest tweet I saw, somebody, I forget who, but somebody was just, can we stop pretending low level is exciting? Whoa, that is wild. What? Why are we coming after that? What sparked that kind of thought? Now, there is nothing you can do. There is no bigger flag you can wave that says, I don't pay attention to anything outside of the bubble that I live in this community, than saying that low level is just pretending that it's exciting. Yes, like JPEG and I have brainwashed 350 people to watch grand finals of Low Ink. Okay. Oh man. Now, okay. Let's read between the lines here, right? So, being the astute person that I am, who runs a major tournament for low level, who competes in mid-level, and who does commentary for high-level stuff, right? Like, I have a foot in all of these doors. So I have a connection to the broader scope of the community. And yes, the Popcast is catered towards low-level, catered towards the low-level side of the competitive scene. However, as if you've listened to all 115 episodes, which I know you have, you know it's kind of evolving to this open-ended kind of thing. It's an open invite tournament at this point that does mostly focus on low level because that's the biggest portion of the scene, and that's what made the Popcast what it is today. The support I've gotten from low level over the course of the past 115 episodes. So I can see things from all different kind of perspectives. I understand that. And so we got to this point now where low level is now the beloved child who gets everything, and high level has become the redheaded stepchild who lives underneath the staircase with Harry Potter. So I understand that. So I understand the frustration when people are tweeting out low level is not really as exciting as you guys think it is. I can read between the lines there and say, okay, this person's just a little jealous of the fact that low level's getting so much attention and high level's not really getting anything. So I understand that. So how did we get to this point to where competitive Splatoon is just low level? And then, there's also, once you're too good for low level, there's also stuff for you there, I guess, if you're so inclined to look into that stuff. So how did we get to this point to where everything is just unbalanced and completely screwed up? Let's start pointing some fingers here at everybody, because everybody plays a role in this, and everybody can do something to fix it. So let's get into it. First off, let's start griping at low level for a minute. There is way too many tournaments going on that is catered towards low level, or AKA skill cap tournaments that we got going on right now. First off, that's not to say we need to start eliminating things. We got Low Ink, we got Minnow Cup, we got Little Squid League, things I promote and talk about every single month here on the podcast, and constantly spread information about them, even if I'm not directly involved in any of them, like Minnow Cup or Little Squid League. We still show those tournaments a lot of love because we want them to help grow. Then you can throw in that Ultimate Splat Championship thing that's been going on for 30 events now, from the Ink up. These are North American weekly tournaments catered towards low-level tournaments. I rarely talk about these kinds of things on the Popcast, but I think they're fine. Do we need weekly low-level tournaments? No, I don't think there's really a need for it, and you don't really see a ton of teams sign up for these things, but I think they're harmless. I don't see any negative thing to point out about them, as long as the TOs are enjoying doing it and teams are signing up, then that's fine. I don't see this as taken away from anything here. But that's enough. That's it. That's it. And I know I'm going to come across as but Pop Gun, don't you have a foot in the Low Ink thing? Aren't you trying to just monopolize low level? Don't you Pop Gun me. I understand full well, and JPEG pointed this out several times on the April 1st episode as well. It's not lost on us that when we sit here and say stop making low-level tournaments, that it comes across as, Low Ink's just trying to push out the competition. Honey, I promise you are not our competition, all right? I'm sorry if that comes across as being a little smug, but there is nobody that competes with Low Ink. Skill level, forget about skill level. There is not a single tournament, regardless of what your skill level is, that competes with Low Ink right now. And that's an issue. That is definitely an issue. But I'm not sitting here trying to chase anything out. What I'm sitting here saying is that you're not helping anything. You're hurting things. And let's kind of get into that for a little bit. But I just wanted to get that disclaimer out of the way. I'm not just going to hide behind like, I'm a Low Ink TO. I'm just going to come out and say it. Stop making low-level tournaments. You're not helping anything by adding to the pile. So basically, we got like this pyramid here, right? We've always talked about the pyramid, dating back to Talking Speed Up, which is a podcast I wish would come back. That was enjoyable. But the pyramid is completely unbalanced. Before, it was mid-level that was getting no love. Mid-level has improved a lot over the course of the past couple of years. Does it need some more help? Yeah, but you can't look at mid-level and say, this hasn't gotten better. But the problem is the bottom of the pyramid is getting way too many blocks. We're making the bottom of the pyramid way too wide, and it's supporting the blocks on top of it way too much. Like, no, you realize we can start adding some more blocks to the middle and the higher level portion of this pyramid, right? It expands in a equal way, not just flat out at the bottom. So what do I mean by you're hurting the scene? What's the point of making low level even better? Or just adding more things to it, oversaturating it? You do realize you're just creating the problem, worse problem. You're creating a scene where nobody wants to leave. Because once you get banned from low level, then you just go off you lose like 20 tournaments that you could play in. And then you're like a campfire situation where they're looking at the Sindow queue thing and they're like, well, there's tournaments we want to play in, but literally every tournament on the Sindow queue thing we're banned from. That's the situation you're creating. You're adding more things to do at a party that already has too much going on to it. Or as JPEG would say, you're bringing too many pies to the family picnic instead of just bringing a diversity of pies there. Oh man. And not to mention open invite tournaments. The open invite tournaments we have also catered to low level now, right? Back in my day, when I was a low level player, when you played in an open invite tournament and you didn't make the top 4, or if you were lucky enough to have a tournament that had like a top 8, you were just done. Now everybody and their mom has beta brackets, gamma brackets, delta brackets. What's the other one? Zeta brackets, whatever. Like, we've seen some really far below brackets in even these open invite tournaments now. That's kind of the standard. If you're an open invite tournament and you don't have those like 5th and 6th and 7th place brackets, you're kind of behind the times. So those are great addition to open invite tournaments, but you got to understand, like, even those cater to low level. So like, there's a reason for low level to sign up for everything now, which is, good, but you got to understand, like, if everything caters to low level, including to events that aren't even skill capped, how does that make the rest of the community feel? Now, this is someone DM'd me recently because they were recognizing that there were so many low-level tournaments going on right now, and they were like, well, what is something we can do to fix that? Well, let's make more mid-level tournaments. So this person DM'd me, and they said, I'm thinking about making a tournament for Div 2 and below. They wanted to get my opinion on that. And that's something that does kind of happen often, and I feel like JPEG gets those kinds of DMs as well. It's just like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this kind of tournament thing. What is some feedback for you? And I'm happy to give that kind of feedback, but I'm not going to baby you guys. I'm going to be real with you. What I told this person is, you want to make a tournament for Div 2 and below. What is Div 2? Does anyone know what Div 2 is right now? Does anyone know what Div 8 is right now? What is Div X? I don't know I have no idea what any of these divs are. My team was Div 2 on November the 13th, 2021, and I have no idea what Div 2 even is right now. Do any of you? What is that? It's so bizarre, right? That we use this seeding for a tournament that came out on November the 13th, 2021, and use that as a barrier of entry for everything going forward for the past almost 7 months now. Okay, so here's the problem with all these low-level tournaments that are popping up. They all have this little thing. It's a Div 6 and below, Div 5 through Div 9. It's like, okay, cool, I understand that. Low Ink does that too. We have the line in the sand, Div 5. If you're over it, you're banned. If you're under it, you're not. But that's because you have to have that line in the sand somewhere, right? Like, you can't just say, oh, our cutoff is teams we think are eligible and teams who we think are not eligible, right? Now, if any of you have been paying attention to Low Ink, which I know every one of you pays attention to Help Desk and the Exemption Request channel on the daily, you will understand that we have let in a lot of Div 4 and above players back into Low Ink And we have kicked a lot of Div 5 and below teams out of low ink because it's all based off of your results. What have you done for me lately? You can't just look at a div and be like, oh, Sleeping Seals, they're Div 7. Yeah, come on in. Enjoy our tournaments. And I saw this. I'm not going to name names, but I saw recently a low-level tournament that had a team win it that I'm sitting there saying, why the hell did those players even consider signing up for that tournament? And what is going on in the minds of the TOs to say, yeah, you are technically allowed to play in this tournament? Have you not paid attention to anything since November the 13th, 2021? Because all that stuff kind of changed. It's just, it can't be updated until we have another Ludi season. Oh boy. So this is spilled over into the div conversation. Well, what is the div right now? Nothing. You got to look, you have to have a line in the sand somewhere. I've said that several times. But as a TO for a low-level event, you have to actually do research on literally everybody who signs up for your tournament month after month after month. So you can't just look at a placement. This is why somebody who came in the help desk of low ink. Well, my team made alpha bracket. So what div am I? That's not how that works. Placements mean nothing. Placements mean absolutely nothing because they are lacking severe context. Snowfall made alpha bracket 1 month, going 6-0 in Swiss, playing nothing but other alpha bracket teams. They literally played alpha bracket teams all day on Saturday, going 6-0. On the same tournament, a team went 5-1, made alpha bracket, but had an opponent win percentage in the low 40s. Are you sitting here and telling me, well, both teams made alpha bracket, they're both Div 5. Are you telling me those teams are on the same level based off of that placement? No, it means absolutely nothing. It's how you spew the information. Placements hide information. And it's just the thing, if you're applying for a low ink exemption, if you made top 8 in an SAC tournament, there's 2 ways you can say it. If you're applying for a low ink exemption, you can just say, oh, we made top 8, but we got eliminated in round 1. If you're applying for a Ludi div, what do you say? Oh, we finished in 5th place. Both are technically true. It's the same exact information, but when you twist it to mean one thing over the other, it's, you can try to imply different things with that kind of information. Placements mean absolutely nothing. Hey, I finished 2nd place in Div X. Hey, that's awesome. Congratulations. 2nd place in Div X. That means you're the 2nd best team in the entire community, right? Hey, what, I got to due diligence. I got to look at like the actual results. Like what are the actual teams you beat instead of just the placement? Who all did you beat when you finished 2nd place in Div X? We beat Facade. Okay, cool. Who else did you beat? No, that's it. We just beat Facade. Literally, we beat them in group stage, and they were the only team that didn't drop in losers bracket. Everybody else dropped and forfeited. Okay, cool. So there you go. Yeah, you can say you finished 2nd place in Div X, or you'll look a little bit deeper. Oh, wait, we only beat one team the entire time. Everybody else dropped. I'm not making fun of that team in particular. I'm just using that as an example. Placements mean nothing. You have to actually, as a TO, you have to actually look and see who did they play, who did they beat, who did they 2-1 against, who did they take games off of. You have to do a lot of freaking work into every single team, every single time you have a low-level tournament. And I don't think TOs realize that. And if you don't do that, if you just go by, you print off the list, oh, this on November the 13th, 2021, you were Div 5. Congratulations, you are now forever welcome into my Div 5 and below tournament. That's what's frustrating about it. That's what I just find frustrating about it. Low-level tournaments are the hardest tournaments that you can run in this scene. And I don't think people who are just popping up trying to make new low-level tournaments kind of understand that. Placements mean nothing. And before we kind of go on here, we're going to move on to high level now. But that's just my gripe with low level. And we'll tie it all up. But let's go back through. Look at some highlighted stuff here. Randy, unironically, the abundance of bad pickup name dominates weeklies was a big reason. I go, well, monthly rankings. I mean, that's kind of ties into this thing. Well, we need something other than Ludi divs. It's like, no, I don't think we necessarily need monthly rankings to this point. And yeah, it's difficult to actually track when there's not enough real teams that actually play consistently. Beta, I think that person probably meant that winning low-level tournaments doesn't carry as much weight as winning an uncapped tournament, seen as it's somewhat arbitrary who gets banned. Yeah, that's fair. But that does, from like the spectator point of view, there are more people that will watch the Swiss stage of Low Inc. on Saturday. More people will watch two teams they've never heard of that we don't even know if they're going to make Gamma Bracket or not, than will watch grand finals of most of every other open invite tournament. So I think that's where like the attention is kind of coming from, just people viewing the tournaments in general. Falco, I think the timing of the tournament is important. Saturdays are oversaturated. At least From the Ink Up is on Fridays. Correct. From the Ink Up and USC are on Fridays, and is your tournament as well, which is another low level kind of tournament that's been running for over 3 seasons now, working on the 4th. That's been a positive thing. That, you know, we're going to get into something in a second that Friday Night Frenzy kind of does that a lot of these other tournaments just flat out can't do, and that is having an actual good production. Harry, a div is a number between 1 or 9 or X. Nothing more, nothing less. Not after 7 months at least. You know, it's... I get, like, people need... Like, I need a div so I know, like, what team I need to scrim against. But you play against teams in tournaments. You know who you should be scrimming against and who's slightly better than you. Like, you don't need to be like, oh, I think I'm this div, so that means anyone who I don't think is this div, I'm not going to scrim. Like, no, like, you know who your scrim partner should be, and you know who should be right above you that can push you to get better. You don't need to be looking at arbitrary divs that don't really mean anything. Low-level TOs, or TOs that are trying to get into low-level stuff. You would be doing the world, a favor by focusing on high-level stuff, right? Because we need more tournaments that are geared towards high-level teams, and there's not a lot of those kind of tournaments that exist. So these new TOs, they want you to make those kind of tournaments, right? So let's kind of discuss what a high-level tournament is. Because it's not an open invite tournament. An open invite tournament is not a high-level tournament. You guys realize that, right? Like an open invite tournament that has no prize, or the prize is just like a commissioned drawing or something like that. Not that I'm knocking that as a prize. I'm just saying that doesn't make it a high-level event. If you have a open invite tournament, those are mid-level tournaments right now. Look at who's signing up for SOS. I guess you can't say who's signing up for squid boards, because there are high-level teams that are signing up for squid boards, even though there is no prize for that. But a standard open invite tournament is a mid-level tournament at this point, which is why I say mid-level is doing just fine, even when SAC is not running, or what the midnight hours, they're trying to do some mid-level stuff as well. But open invite tournaments are mid-level because they're bringing out the mid-level teams. They're giving them something to do, and they have legit chances at upsetting high-level teams that show up for it and winning those tournaments in general. So mid-level's doing just fine. But what is a high-level tournament? It's one of two things. I always thought it was just prize money. I always thought a high-level tournament was something that had like $100+ prize pool in it or something like that. Which is true. Most, well, not most, I won't speak for everybody, but there are a lot of high-level players that won't play in a tournament unless it does have some sort of monetary compensation if you finish in a certain slot for it, which makes sense. If you are a team like Starburst, why would you play in SOS? There's nothing to gain from winning an SOS. It's not like, oh, now I got results so that I can stay in +1. No, nobody's going to kick you out of +1. And it's not like, oh, whenever the next Lodi is, I'm going to get a higher div because no, you're already underseeded in Div X. So there's nothing really for high-level teams to kind of gain by doing a tournament without that. So I always thought it was just prize pools. But we had Shaq on to the Popcast, And Shaq has did like a part of the media tour, was on Negas's podcast, was on Ray's and JPEG's podcast. And one thing Shaq was consistent in saying was that it's not just prize pools, but if a tournament has a really well-run production and has a really good stream, high and top-level teams will sign up for that, even if there isn't a prize, because it's a great way to get exposure out, and it's something exciting for everybody to look at. So those are the two things that you either have a prize pool that is significant enough to draw out teams, or you have a high production valued stream, a very high production valued stream that where teams are going to be excited to play in it because they know they're going to help kind of get their brand out there a little bit better. So, prize money, where does that come from? It's not coming from Papa John's in Red Bull. That's not happening, right? It's coming from the TOs, maybe from some donation from anonymous donors, but it's mostly just coming out of somebody's own wallet. Whether they want to admit it or not, that is where the vast majority of these prize pools are coming from. IPL, whenever we run Super Jump, where's that money coming from? It's Twitch revenue. It's 100% our Twitch revenue, which is why we're pushing to get that partnership, become a Twitch partner so that we can increase our revenue, so that we can do tournaments more often. But tournaments with just standard prize pools popping up, more often than not, that's somebody just opening up their wallet out of the good of their heart because they want to see the tournament do well and they want to see high-level teams sign up for it. Production-level stuff. You're looking at Tassel, and this was the main thing Shaq was kind of referring to here. So Tassel was just was the closest thing we had to an ESPN broadcast of online Splatoon. You had your commentators, you had like an analyst desk, and you had your commentators all with their face cams on, all kind of talking throughout the entire thing. There's no like, well, let's just go to a 30-minute break while we wait for this bracket to get set up or anything like that. It was an actual show. And of course, Tassel was a league that had just the best of the best teams from North America and Europe. I don't think Tassel 3 is going to be a thing, considering K-Bot's retirement. And, it's been like a couple of years since that last thing. But when you think of like high production value things, and I don't know if Tassel might have had a prize or not, but one of the things that made Tassel so great was just the production value. So the question is, when you come up with prize pools or production value, you're either got TOs that are funding these things with prize pools, or like who's left to do production value? Quite honestly, if you look at some of the streams that some of these tournaments have been farting out, it's IPL or nothing. And I understand it's not lost on me that I am from IPL, but keep in mind, I have absolutely no hand in the production quality other than the amount of work that I do to try to make myself a better commentator. But like the actual stream overlays, just the overall value, that has nothing to do with me. But there's nothing, no other org even comes close to the production value of IPL right now. So when you're looking at top-notch production value, it's IPL or nothing. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that's basically it. Now, there's a heavy point I want to get to right to, but let's go back through the highlighted stuff real quick. Valorock, would leagues help with updating how teams are good against what level they're at? No, because leagues are just how good you are. Okay, so if you have like an 8-team league, yeah, you can compare yourself to those other 7 teams. Can you compare yourself against the other 500 teams and pickup teams that play? No, that doesn't help at all. Prochara, Sindow's in the zone and 4v4 Sundays. Good. exemptions to these. Yes, I was going to talk about those in a second. Saturday morning coffee is a good counterexample, though. A consistent monthly with really good in-game TV production value, yet high level was never there. That's part of a point I'm going to bring up right now. I'm glad you mentioned Saturday morning coffee. Because here's the thing. We did have TOs that were providing prize pools. We did have TOs that were creating tournaments that had high production values. What happened to them? Where did they go? How come we used to have all these things, right? We used to have Saturday morning coffee. When was the last time we had one of those, though? You guys remember BNS? A weekly tournament, which maybe the production value of that was kind of lazy, but I think that was the point of those streams. But did have a prize pool, and which we'd have weekly teams come out, high level, top level teams every single week come out and play in BNS. We had European teams stay up late into the night because it was a North American Friday night tournament that would play in that. A lot of really good tournaments geared towards high and top level teams. Where did all those TOs go? What happened to them? I'll let you, the high level players, I'll let you tell me what happened to them, because we all know. They flat out told us. They got chased out of the scene. They were tired of getting subtweeted on Twitter, of not being appreciated, of constantly being bitched at. Y'all scared them away. That's the answer. Where did the TOs go? High level scared them away. They did. There's no debate about that. Go ask any of them. Go ask any of the TOs that were running all of those high level events. Ask them why they're not a part of the scene anymore. It's those reasons I just listed out. They got tired of dealing with nonsense from high level players. Oh, SOS1. SOS1 is the worst tournament IPL has ever put out. Anybody involved in SOS1 will tell you that it was the worst tournament IPL has ever done. But it's important. You get that first tournament out of the way, you learn from it, you grow, and you get a little bit better, right? Yes. So you need feedback. Was the feedback for SOS1 given in a fun and constructive way that helped it improve? No, it wasn't. People memed on SOS1. Staff literally cried after SOS1 for the amount of hate that it got from that event. Now, SOS1 toughened up, moved forward. It's a great open invite tournament now. It doesn't have a $100 prize pool anymore, though. That went away. And it's now geared towards everybody, not just the high level. It's not a double limit anymore. It's now something that gears towards every single person that signs up for it. But keep in mind, SOS1 is a prime example of how high level not helping something grow, but trying their best to tear it down for the lulz on Twitter. BNS. I talked about this. This was a great tournament. I played in BNS back in like 2018. I was so happy the first time I got a single win in BNS. It felt like, whoa, I'm really improving as a player. I went 1-5 in this event. BNS was like the closest thing we had to low level back in those days, right? If you just won one game, oh, what div am I? I'm 1-5. Does that mean I'm like div 4 now or something like that? Nobody did that back then. Nobody cared. What was the last tournament? What was the last tournament that Ink TV did? You guys remember? It was that one tournament that had no TOs in it. It was a tournament that said, it's a best of whatever. You guys sign up. Here's the rules. But if anybody breaks a rule, we're not helping you. If somebody just goes in and they just instantly check, yeah, we 3-0'd this team, and you raise a question in help desk, we're not helping you. That tournament was a giant middle finger to high level. It was like, you guys are not appreciating anything we do, and you guys are constantly coming after us for every little thing. You know what? Have a tournament without a TO in it and see how much fun that is. You know what happened after that tournament? I don't think they ran another tournament after that. I think that was the last one. Maybe they did one more BNS, but that tournament was a giant frustration, like venting kind of thing. It was an eye opener for me. It was like, oh, these well-known TOs are tired of your bull crap. That's interesting. So, oh my gosh, Super Jump. I was like vaguely involved in Super Jump in IPL. And I have a lot of stories that I'm not going to share with you guys, but tons of stories just from my little experience involved in it of TO abuse that went on during Super Jump. A lot of it. And that was another eye-opener for me. I mean, it's one thing. Do we get TO abuse for low ink? Yes, of course we do. You remember that kid who was like, accused me of being biased towards my girlfriend? When it was like, oh, you did not just call my wife my girlfriend, or accuse me of being biased when I'm just the one answering this question in help desk, representing all of low ink. We experienced TO abuse, yes. The level of abuse that was shown during Super Jump, and I'm not going to give specific examples, was infinitely higher than anything I have seen in low ink. All low inks combined. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So I don't blame new TOs for being scared of creating an event for high-level players. I don't. Because I've seen the reaction. And I'm not trying to paint a broad stroke here across all of, like, every high-level player is like this. I don't want to do that because people do that for the Splatoon community a lot, and it is annoying. But with the lower concentration, the less players that are in high level, because high level is smaller, that's how a pyramid works, the amount of nonsense you get out of that is just unbelievable. The ratio is just unproportionate right there. So I don't blame new TOs for saying, you know what, I'll just make a low level event because I don't want to do something for high level. Now, I do want to give a shout out, and somebody pointed this out already, but I do want to give credit for 4v4 Sundays. It doesn't do everything right. There's always that awkward, we're banning this person, we changed our mind an hour later, we're unbanning this person. There's always a little bit of missteps with 4v4 Sundays. I don't think they have a stream, but I can appreciate the fact that they're trying and that they actually care. And that's kind of what you want to see. You want to see somebody who's trying, who's taking a little bit of pushback whenever they take a misstep, but is still trying to move forward. So I give credit for 4v4 Sundays for attempting to create something that seems to have been pretty positive as far as the teams that come out and play in that tournament. So hats off to 4v4 Sundays. They're a little bit of an exemption to this, all the things that I'm kind of speaking out here. But again, who's the TO for that? It's Max, right? Max is a high-level player. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that's coming from the top. It's the top creating something for other players near the top, which is good. And maybe we need more of that. But if all the TOs coming up from into the scene are trying to come up through low level, that's where it needs to be coming from, right? We need more low-level TOs to not be afraid to run an event that caters towards everybody. So here we go. Okay. Low level. Here's what I'm going to tell you guys. Stop making new skill cap tournaments. Stop it. It's not helping anything. You're just putting more eyeballs on low level in a negative way. You are creating more divide between low level and high level when we need to find ways to start coming together. Instead, do this. If you're thinking about creating a new tournament, there's two things I want you to think of. And this is what I told that person that DM'd me. Join a tournament that already exists. IPL is constantly hiring. Dapple Productions, I believe, is constantly hiring. MIT, constantly hiring. The orgs are constantly putting out applications and are looking for new TOs to get into. Low Ink, I don't think we're hiring, but we always keep an eye open for new TOs because we want to grow the new one. Like Mizuno and Bowen. Bowen is going off to run the Latin American tournament org. Mizuno is also, well, it depends on whatever Mizuno does now that they've graduated. It's like an up-and-coming TO as well. Like, we want to grow the next set of TOs that are going to go off and add new things to the scene. We don't want them to just stick around in low ink forever. We want to grow them and become more solid TOs going off and doing other things. So look into that before you create something else and just add to the hiring issue that the scene is going on with. Join an org that already exists and work for them. If you don't want to do that and you want to make your own thing, make an open invite tournament. Again, open invite tournaments are not high level tournaments. If you make a brand new tournament without a skill cap on it, no high level team's going to sign up for it. You don't have to worry about that. It's just going to be mid level teams that sign up for it. We don't really have tournaments that run at 1 p.m. on Saturday that's open invite. You would think we do. You would think we have something like that going on all the time. But we have a ton of mid-level teams that are looking for times to play at that time slot on Saturday, and there's nothing for them. So do it. Do an open invite tournament. You're going to be competing against Little Squid League. Don't worry. Little Squid League teams are going to play in Little Squid League. But all the other teams that are banned from it will play in that open invite tournament. Look at Squid Boards. Squid Boards will even get a couple of high-level teams. Jackpot played in Squid Boards. Hollow played in Squid Boards. Vengeance played in Squid Boards. Again, there was no prize for that, but they're willing to sign up for that. Now, Squid Boards is a name brand thing that has earned its reputation over time, but if you start a brand new tournament and you make an open invite and you put it on that Saturday 1 p.m. slot, you're going to get people that will sign up for it. And if you're good at what you do and you pay attention to the feedback that people give you, as negative as it probably is going to be, if you look for the line, like, what are they actually saying? How can I improve this tournament? It's going to get better and better. And then you got something that's really good. And then you got all this experience, and maybe your stream production's really good and you can build up some revenue. Then you can start going after high level and start making some tournaments for them. That's how you grow as a TO. Stop making freaking skill cap stuff. It's not helping anything. Just stop it. Just stop it. All right. That's all I'm going to say. No more skill cap stuff from this point going forward. High level. You guys need some help. I understand that. Mid-level was the thing that needed the most attention. Mid-level is doing all right now. Could mid-level be doing better? Yes, mid-level is doing all right. High-level needs the most help. We have not seen Jackpot, Starburst, FT Win, Alliance Rogue. You throw in Hollow. We haven't seen these teams play each other since Riptide, when FT Win and Starburst played against each other. That was an awesome set, but that was not FT Win. We didn't get to see Shaq. We didn't get to see Bursty. So, like, we don't really get to see these high quality matches we want to see. We haven't seen any of that yet. Yeah, we see them in the gimmick tournaments, but who cares? Like, I don't care if FT Win and Starburst compete in a gimmick tournament. Doesn't mean anything. Throw in Kings. I want to see Kings play against all these teams. Playing all these matches, we really want to see these. There's just no environment for them to do it. However, you do have some opportunities coming up, high level. You got the 20XX tournament that is being streamed by Dapple Productions at the end of this month, a $400 prize pool. You have you got Super Jump coming down the pipe at some point. You have the Nintendo thing, which I think the prize for this is a Nintendo carrying case. All right, fine. Don't worry about Nintendo. Playing it if you want to. We're not interested in seeing you guys play each other in that. But there are opportunities coming up. Take care of it. We can't have a repeat of Div X. Div X was a total embarrassment across the board this past season. And I didn't talk to Emil about this when I had them on episode 100, but I would assume Div X was just probably caused a lot of burnout for Ludi staff, and probably need a long time to recover from that and figure out how to rework it. You know what's so frustrating about Div X is that the seeding council, we have like that week to do all the seeding, but we can't really move forward until we get DivX solved. So you have to figure out what DivX is first, because then you figure, okay, then we can start doing one and all the way down. We spend so much time figuring out what DivX is So much time, and so many people are brought in just to debate Div X in like the upper portion of Div 1. Like we spend maybe Sunday through Thursday, maybe into Friday, and a little bit of conversation on Saturday before divs go out about Div X. So most of the attention from the seeding council is placed on getting Div X right. And then when you see Div X actually happen and the teams not give a damn while they're playing it, it's so frustrating. You guys got to take care of the stuff that you got. Support 20XX. Support the next super jump whenever it happens. You know, the lands are a little bit different. It's difficult for people to go to them. Yeah, you know, it's not like Smash where everything is lands. Here, everything is online. You guys got to support the stuff that you got. So there you go. High level, support the things that you already have. And then the low-level people that are trying to make more tournaments, pay attention to the support they're getting. And stop. The TO abuse has to end. It really does. TO abuse has to be harshly condoned. It seriously needs to be called out more often and harshly condoned. We need to stop chasing off these people that were actually doing it. We're in a rebuild mode right now, guys. Because all the people that were doing high-level stuff, you all chased them off. So we got to grow new people to take their spots, and it's going to take some time. But if we can do that, then we can stop this stupid, whenever somebody tweets out, oh, high level is just getting more attention to what they deserve. No, that's not the case. You just want the kind of attention that they're getting. And we want to give you that kind of attention. We do. I am one of the low level guys. I understand that. Listen to me right now. I want high level to be better. I don't like the fact that low level is dominating everything in the scene. I want low level to stay where it is, but I want high level to be better. The scene is better when high level stuff is better. And then they turn their eyes to low level and be like, whoa, low level's just as awesome too. It's top heavy. Low level's dominating the scene right now. You can't argue against that. You can't. Some of you can, but what you're really trying to say is, I wish this pyramid was flipped upside down. As one of the low-level guys, I want to help get us there as well. But it needs to be both ways. I actually went the whole hour on just one segment. I didn't write that much. Where did I miss? What was the last thing? Beta Saturday morning coffee. I don't think this is always true because it is true in almost any community. The big factor that sets Splatoon apart is that TOs are getting really good at what they do after a few years, but Splatoon has no room for them to grow and turn into something bigger. Fair point. But again, it feels like the people who had grown, the people that could kind of show us the steps that we had to take all got chased off. Not all of them, but a good chunk of them. And it's like, well, a lot of this... Now, some of those guys are still hanging around and still kind of provide feedback, especially in IPL. We lean on some like advisory kind of people, but they are... There's a lot of trying to like figure some stuff out as we kind of go along on our own. But yeah, we definitely need to add some more people. You are nitpicky and biased. I win. Bye-bye. Fair enough. Ludi, DivX was not helping. Yes. I agree with that. I agree. We got to separate actual feedback from annoying BS. Yes. That's very good here. Hey, Stu. Welcome in. I'm just leaving. And you know what? To that point, Stu, if high level was a little bit better and there was more consistent tournaments for them to play in, you would see actual teams stick around more often. You know, like FT went over a roster change, and it's like we're never going to see what their actual roster is and them going up against an actual team. You know, it's interesting. Part of the reason why there's not a lot of high-level teams is because, admittedly, there's nothing for them as much. If there was some sort of low-ink equivalent, you would see more consistent teams and less of these pickups, and then the weekly recaps would be less cringe, like they were today or have been for the past month, honestly. All right, so I lied. I actually went the full time. Kind of definitely went off script for a lot of places there. Hey, if you have any feedback about anything I said or want to spark a conversation about it, or wherever, feel free to reach out to me or at me at Twitter or something like that. I don't know. Let's talk. Let's have an open conversation about all these things. What we can do to improve low level and high levels relation with each other, because right now it's kind of bad. Feel free to reach out to me. Twitter, Mr_Popgun, YouTube at Popgun, 25 Popgun, Twitch at, let's start over. Twitch, Mr_Popgun, Discord, Popgun, hashtag 5882, YouTube at 25 Popgun, Twitch at Popgun25, Anchor.fm/Popgun, TikTok at Mr_Popgun. There's some gross stuff on my Twitch feed. Who are we going to raid? Who's Boocat? Let's go raid Boocat. Hey, stay safe. Get tested if you went to Low Tide City. I'm negative. I have no symptoms. It's weird how like some people, a lot of people I was around got it, but I didn't. I don't understand that. But get tested regardless. I have no idea how the virus thing works. I'm not a scientist, but I am going to be going back to the lab again.